the worst part of the game. It blinds me every time. Let me just preface this review with a disclaimer. I was more of a Crash Bandicoot and Tekken type of guy. Type of boy. I didn't play a lot of survival horror games on the PS1. No Resident Evils, no Silent Hills, no Dino Crises, no Alone in the Darks. You won't hear any sobbing ramblings about how this game revived my love for survival horror. To be honest, I didn't have a lot of love to begin with. But I understand what those games have done in shaping and advancing the survival horror genre. And I love this love letter / tribute to a world that I wasn't a part of. So let me say, I heard a lot about Signalis. It's embraced by both critics and fans alike. It's celebrated as a fantastic homage to nostalgic bygone era. I also heard that it's too derivative. I heard that the art style and music carry the game hard and they overcompensate for the lack of substance. And also, for some reason, this game has a extremely dedicated fanbase. People will say autistic, but on this channel I'm all about being politically correct, or whatever. So let's get behind Signalis. The game is beautiful. The game is atmospheric. Every inch of this game oozes with amazing aesthetic choices. From the stark contrast of the two main colors being used, black and red, to the grainy lo-fi textures that make it feel like a lost artifact from another era. The setting is unlike anything I've ever seen, not only in video games, but in media as a whole. It combines retrofuturism, Soviet-era brutalism, analog horror aesthetics. And the whole game feels, and I don't mean this as an insult, I mean this as a compliment, the whole game feels like a B-budget horror movie found on a VHS tape. One thing I really liked is the way information is conveyed. You find a lot about the world from scattered documents, old computer terminals, communism-inspired posters and cryptic propaganda. The thing that was a bit of an oracle for me personally are the cutscenes. They are too jumpy, they are fragmented, they are too glitchy, and I personally don't understand them properly, and they feel almost like a fever dream, but a bad fever dream. I did love the first-person minigames that occasionally interrupt the flow of the game. Sometimes you need to interact with a console or a computer or walk through the snowy nothingness, and your perspective is switched all of a sudden, and it makes such a amazing change narrative. And of course there's the sound, and the classical music is amazing. It adds to the atmosphere and the ambience in the background, but where it really shines are the noises you hear while playing. The mechanical clickings, the distorted radio signals, the clattering of footsteps through the empty corridors, the garbled voices emerging from transmissions. With the story, I'm not gonna lie, initially I got filtered and I didn't understand much of it on my first playthrough, and after a period of confusion and stress, I realized that I might have been over-analyzing the story, and by over-analyzing it, it became even more overwhelming and confusing. So I found a couple of those good old 3-hour video essays, and as I was watching them, my understanding changed from my initial, oh cool, communist space lesbians living in a tyrannical oppressive system, to, oh cool, a robot with an individual consciousness has fever dreams of her partner, to, oh cool, so it's actually just a bunch of homages to other media, such as, of course, the OG survival horror games, such as Neon Genesis Evangelion, such as Ghost in the Shell, Solaris, Stalker, The King in Yellow, and the works of H.P. Lovecraft. The game makes you ask yourself a lot of questions though. What's real versus what's a dream, what's a memory? What's our identity, what's our programming, what's our nature? What the fuck is happening? Why people turn into blood pudding monsters? who the hell are all these characters? What the hell is Adler talking about? Why do not any of the female characters have feet? Maybe not that question. And the answer to that is that there are no clear answers. The ending or the endings are purposefully open-ended, cryptic, symbolic. Just like the game, the story is a dream that refuses to fade. Basically, you play as Elster, a replica unit, which is a human-like biomechanical robot based and created on brain templates made from existing people. She's living in an oppressive communist regime which suppresses individualism, and if you develop too much of it, well, tough luck, because androids literally get killed. You are on a scrappy ship manning it outside of your solar system in the hope of encountering a habitable planet for the nation to escape to. And that's it. I won't tell you much more, partially because I also don't understand lots of it, but also partially because it feels amazing uncovering the truth about the game on your own, by exploration or research outside of the game. I'll just mention that there are 3 endings and another secret one, and each of them hits a different emotion that you didn't know existed. Mechanically, this is a classic survival horror game, played from a fixed top-down perspective with a lot of resource management, exploration, combat and survival, and of course puzzle solving. And puzzles range from relatively simple ones to those that were, for me at least personally, really hard to solve on my own. The game doesn't hold your hand at all. And the puzzles range from finding keys, passcodes, combining resources, to more unique ones such as fine-tuning radio frequencies in order to decode signals, and the first-person mini-games in which you interact with the objects in the game. Of course, another important aspect is resource management. You have a limited inventory and you can carry only 6 items at a time, which require a lot of decision making on what to prioritize. Ammo is scarce and every encounter is a tactical calculated risk. The combat itself is purposefully slow, weighty, weapons can be imprecise, enemies keep on going and they refuse to stay dead. In order to defend from enemies, you can use, and you have, regular old handguns, shotguns, energy weapons, heavy rifles, and of course melee items such as stun batons and thermite charges that completely burn the enemy, making it incapable of reviving. So, when it comes to my opinion about this game, I don't like to rate media on a scale, because the range oversimplifies what's for me a complex experience, and they are not precise, they are illusionary in their accuracy. I would rather want to rate my own personal enjoyment, but also to be objective. So I asked myself 3 questions before I started my review. Did I enjoy playing this game? Did I beat it? Do I plan on replaying it? And the answer to the first 2 questions is yes, I did enjoy playing it. And yes, I did beat it. Actually, I beat it twice. And I'm not heavy into the classic Resident Evil type survival horror, but I really enjoyed this game. The things I most liked and the best and the most unique things is of course the amazing artwork and aesthetics, and some mechanics such as the radio signal mechanics, the level design, the survival aspects. I even found the limited inventory challenging just enough to make the game even more fun to me. So I wouldn't consider that a criticism. And again, what I really like is that the game's a package. Everything in it, mechanics, the story, and the settings, these concepts make the game what it is. Oh, I also forgot to mention, I really like the option to change your settings to add a CTR mode or a filter to have an even better OG survival horror experience. So some things I didn't like about this game. The combat can be a bit clunky at times, which on its own isn't problematic because you can run from a room to another room to kinda restart the battle. But there are boss battles, and the boss battles are, as far as I know, non-avoidable. And bosses are tanky, and it can get stressful and confusing, especially when it comes to the way you aim and you shoot at enemies. Another criticism that I found is that it feels too derivative. In my opinion, it's okay to have notes and references and inspirations, but sometimes it seems like the game is trying too hard to seem deep. Like the overfocus on the Island of the Dead, or there's like one-to-one copy of the Ghost in the Shell scene where Major Kusanagi breaks part of her arm. So, but for me the biggest problem is that I don't want to play it again. Not because it doesn't have a lot of replayability, but because the heaviness of the atmosphere drains your emotions, which in a sense it even seems purposeful. So maybe that is even a good thing. But all of the things I said are minor criticism, and they are mostly subjective. For anyone else who wants to play an amazing, unique game for as low as $20 and even lower on a sale, look no further than Signalis.